Ah, the clitoris. Seems polite and straightforward enough, but have you ever met her bodyguard? I'm talking about the clitoral hood. Are you ready to learn some things about the clitoris that are going to change how you approach it so that you can be the best lover ever? Let me hear a yeah from the crowd. Teach us everything. You see, most of the information out there is simply a general instruction manual on how to provide pleasure to the clit itself. But there isn't nearly enough information about another and hugely important part of her body that has a massive impact on how to give and receive pleasure, and I am talking about the clitoral hood. In this video, I'm going to share everything you need to know about her clitoral hood and how to translate that knowledge into more pleasure for her and, of course, more orgasms. Because the truth is, there really isn't just one size fits all when it comes to sex. Most people don't even know that there are different kinds of clitorises, and knowing the particular ins and outs of your partner's anatomy is one of the most important steps to becoming the best lover ever, aside from subscribing to this channel. And if you happen to be a person with a clitoris who's watching this, amazing, welcome, because understanding your own body is such a critical part of becoming sexually empowered and satisfied. All right, let's dive right in. Here are the top 5 things you need to know about popping the hood. Pun absolutely intended. Number 5, it is the female foreskin. I didn't even think about this, but once I started thinking about it, it's so obvious. And the clitoris is the equivalent of the penis, essentially the head and shaft. And so it is the most intense pleasure center filled with 15,000 nerve endings. But the hood is the less sensitive bit of skin that covers the clit and protects it from being overstimulated. I mean, this is exactly what the male foreskin does. And just like the male foreskin, every clitoral hood, as well as the clit who she protects, is as unique to the person it belongs to. But more on that in just one second. Let's jump to number 4. They produce sebum. Okay, so you're probably familiar with the word smegma. If not, it just happens to be like my favorite word in the English language. I just think smegma, it like sounds exactly like what it describes. And what it describes is sort of the mixture of dead skin and bacteria and sweat that occurs inside of a foreskin. And the same is true for the clitoris, which is why they need to be kept clean. More on that in just a second. Just like smegma, sebum is not exactly the most delightful thing to come across in a sexual encounter. And just like men need to stay on top of their hygiene down there, more so if they're uncircumcised, so do women. Now, one thing to understand about the female genitals are that it is a delicate, self-cleaning ecosystem down there. Although women should absolutely be cleansing their bits with warm water anytime that they take a shower, no soap, no fragrance. If you have those in your home, throw them out. You do not need them. Warm water is the only thing that is ever needed ever. That brings me to number 3, cool thing about the clitoral hood, it retracts when aroused. So if you've ever heard the term lady boner, well, just so you know, that is a real thing. Just like men get aroused, they get hard, and the foreskin retracts, the same is true for the clitoral hood. When a woman becomes sexually aroused, their clitoris engorges and the clitoral hood retracts, allowing the clit to pop out ready to be stimulated. Now, remember when I said earlier that each of our bodies is unique? Well, this is one of those areas where the difference in bodies makes a big impact on how that body needs to be pleasured. So while some women's hoods fully retract and reveal the clit in all of its glory, other women's hoods don't quite get all the way out of the way. And if her hood continues to cover her clit during sex, she may respond well to it being literally pulled up with a tongue or fingers. She might instead just prefer a lot of really intense stimulation, like from a vibrator. For other women, their hoods never fully cover their clit to begin with. And for them, any vibrator near the glans clitoris, aka the bean, might just always be too much, right? So there's a wide variety of sensitivity here, and it's not wrong. Like whatever works for her is exactly right for her. So whether you're touching her with your hands or you're going down on her with your tongue, be sure to get a thorough lay of the land, experiment with whether or not her hood needs to be moved out of the way while you pleasure her. This should not hurt, so it should be pretty simple for you to just be down there and ask, does this feel better or does that feel better? Pro tip, stroking the hood and the shaft of the clitoris under the hood is an excellent way to tease her before actually going directly to her clitoris itself or playing with the hood and moving it out of the way. itself. Tip number 2, they all have unique sensitivities. You have got to be mindful of her sensitivity levels. Some women prefer their hoods to be left over their clit during oral or touching because otherwise they're just too sensitive. Once you figure out exactly what her hood looks like and how to maneuver it, the next step is figuring out her exact preferences and sensitivities. In other words, what works for her and when. I get into this in depth in my yoni massage course, and I show you on 2 different live models how to stimulate the actual hood in a way that is very uniquely pleasurable. But for the purposes of this video, it's just important to understand that it's different strokes for different folks. And if you're ever in doubt about what she likes, you can ask. And assuming that she might not know exactly what she likes, because remember, this is a detail of the female anatomy that we don't really talk about all that often, you might get to just play around with her and see what works for her. Remember that it could be different on different days, at different ages, etc. It's also important to remember that different rules apply to different methods. For example, she might love it when you pull her hood back gently while you're going down on her, but once you get a vibrator in there, it could be an entirely different story. For example, there are some vibrators that, like for me in particular, I can't place them directly onto my clitoris. It would absolutely be way too much stimulation that will never feel good no matter how aroused, no matter what is happening, right? But I have met other people who can take that kind of stimulation and in fact prefer that. So some of the things that you can do if she's very sensitive are approach from the side of her clit. Keep the hood in place so that you're not touching her clit directly. You can actually approach through the inner labia or even through the outer labia if a vibrator is particularly strong. And this is why the key to experimentation is getting turned on and trying different things with her body in different combinations of toys. All right, last one, and this is really important. Clitoral hoods can get stuck. Sometimes women are unable to experience clitoral pleasure because of something called adhesions. And if you or your partner struggle to experience pleasure or possibly even experience pain in and around the clitoris or even discomfort, adhesions might just be the culprit. Adhesions are caused by a buildup of bacteria and sebum, and they are exactly like they sound, adhesive. It's like the skin is actually stuck together, like it's glued together, and it prevents the clitoral hood from retracting to expose the clitoris as it is designed. Some adhesions can cause clitoral pain, hypersensitivity, or difficulty reaching orgasm. They typically happen because of a lack of washing, or maybe her clitoris has just been ignored for a long time, so she hasn't been cleaning it out. Maybe she feels uncomfortable touching her own body, and therefore she hasn't taken the time to actually have a relationship where she's generally cleaning this area. So in less intense cases, gently washing with warm water, taking warm water baths, no soap, no oil, can help. You can also go to a doctor and ask them. Some doctors may recommend using soaps. They may actually recommend a procedure in their own office. If the sensitivity is too great or warm water baths do not help, it is definitely time to get medical support. Now, needless to say, ongoing hygiene is really important here. And the larger the clitoral hood, the more attentive you need to be with the hygiene. Exactly the same as guys with foreskin and how they need to pay a little extra attention down there compared to guys who are circumcised. And although it's totally normal for clits as well as their hoods to come in all different shapes and sizes, there are some rare cases in which they are so enlarged or adhered enough to require surgical intervention. The kind of surgical intervention I'm talking about here is not for cosmetic purposes. It's not just like, I don't like the size of my hood even though it works perfectly. This is for someone who's actually in extreme pain and discomfort. There are things that can be done to change the size and shape of the clitoral hood to help the clitoris have its day in the sun. And there you have it, everything that you need to know about the clitoral hood. If you want specific advice on how to touch it and how to pleasure it, check out my course on yoni massage. It comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee, and you can see me actually give 2 massages to 2 bodies to 2 women, and you'll get to see upfront and in person how to stimulate the clitoral hood. In this case, my friends, knowledge is power, and knowledge is pleasure too. I'm Caitlin V. Thank you for subscribing. I will see you here later. Mwah. Bye-bye.